Hang on, I know just what you're thinking. You can't wait for another one of my videos, but you're real tired of all the sense making. If only all the music could be stripped of any and all meaning whatsoever. And in fact, stop using real words and just go all goo goo, gaga, gobbledygook, gibberish. That would rock. Like the Crystals here with Do Run Run. Don't worry, I got you, fam. That's what we're here to talk about today. Just absolute malarkey. Fiddle faddle, hogwash and claptrap and poppycock and Tommy Rot bounds. Because sometimes it's all about the sound of the best consonants and vowels riding the wave of that magical rhythm and melody. Sometimes real words just don't do the trick. Songs of completely senseless drivel were not only born, but grew and flew to great heights in this crazy world. Because we clearly don't need the songs that adorn and embellish the days of our lives to mean a frickin' thing either. Balderdash. Okay, enough of these sensible sentences. Are you ready? As always, I'll link the vids in the description if you want to hear them in full. Now let's check out some totally meaningless gibberish and the artists that saw fit to say nothing at all.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
We're gonna start with the first one that came into my life, laying on the floor of my parents' living room in the early 90s with MTV on full blast. I was at the age and time of my life where Poison seemed totally awesome to me. That is to say, grade school. What's noteworthy about Unskinny Bop, the lead single from their 1990 album Flesh and Blood, is it wasn't until years later that it was pointed out to me that Unskinny Bop doesn't mean anything. I never overtly thought about it or anything, but I was totally unaware that I was being smacked with gibberish. And my friend and I actively liked this song. We would sing it on the playground and stuff. And I think that is a testament to using this gibberish, which is what the band decided to do when they presumably couldn't find anything better to sing here. Guitarist CC DeVille had been using it as a placeholder, figuring that some other more sensible lyric would come along to really be the hook, but then they realized nothing else just quite had the je ne sais quoi. It sings perfectly, and in the context of the song it seems to make sense. And that's the question I think will be fun to ask in this video look. What does this gibberish kinda mean, if anything, anyway? And if you listen to the lyrics of the rest of Unskinny Bop, and plenty of other Poison songs for that matter, they're kinda getting at one thing. Not a bop, but another kind of dance. You know, the horizontal mambo, the pants-off dance-off, the four-legged foxtrot, the knockin' of the boots. The first verse even says, like gasoline, you wanna pump me. Case closed. Unskinny Bop may not mean anything, but it also means exactly one thing, and sounds exactly like what it means. And that's why no one batted an eye. As a side note, Bret Michaels dancing with these neon green babes seemed like the height of next generation video technology at the time, and served to make Poison even cooler to me than all the other bands putting out ridiculous hair farmery goodness at the time too. You don't need to talk to Socrates or look to Every Rose Has Its Thorn to know that Poison had some intellectual bombs to drop. It's all right here in this senseless blathering. Phil Collins, you sneaking into another one of my danged videos? Come on, man. But we're here for a reason, and this is quite possibly the most famous example for this said reason. And to be fair, the last time we did talk about Genesis in the 80s. But Sussudio, this jam from Phil's solo career was inescapable. The lead single from his massive 1985 album No Jacket Required. So here we have another case of not only the Gibberish song being a single, but it being the lead single, and doing very well at that. The story is also the same here as with most Gibberish songs, which is that, in this case, while Phil was riffing on the music coming together, Sussudio just fell right on it, sang with it, felt so good. It too was meant to be placeholder, but he just couldn't get anything else to work in there. And being an experienced writer, he made the wise and seasoned move to not shoehorn in something worse or clunkier, nor as a result kill the song altogether. He just recognized the caliber and fired it out. I think many less experienced artists would misstep here. Sussudio was all around my childhood life too, but with Sussudio I did kinda clock something weird about it. It didn't breeze by me like Unskinny Bop undetected. I thought maybe I didn't know what he was saying. Like, it kinda sounded like he was saying studio, studio, but I could tell there wasn't a T. But it did bounce along so smooth and exuberantly, I never thought about it for long. Now, if we ask ourselves, what does Sussudio kinda mean? Well, the lyrics are about being infatuated with a girl, so you could kinda make the case that it could be her weird name, but you'd be wrong if you did that. What I think Phil kinda tried to do is make Sussudio like a word version of when a cartoon character gets love heart eyes that pop out of their sockets and little birdies fly around their head. But if you could say it or exclaim it, like Excelsior. He refers to the word in the song as the word. I feel so good if I just say the word. Oh, Sussudio. So, in that regard, he was a bit more intellectual even than Poison at incorporating his gibberish. He kind of built a little world around it. I think you should say it the next time you're enamored with someone. See if it does indeed feel so good. OMG, they're so beautiful. Sussudio. Now, Mony is a Tommy James and the Shondells song from 1968, but this one also came into my life via Billy Idol's cover in the 80s, and since he has this splendid video, I think it's just ideal that we take a look at Billy's version. Truth be told, it's kind of a funny song for Billy Idol to cover. Like, he was this tough, new wavy, punk rockin', spiky-haired rocker who looked good in leather, and Mony kind of bubbles and bounces so shiny and happily. But there's good reason for this. He totally got laid to the Tommy James and the Shondells version as a teenager. And he has, supposedly, very fond memories of this, Unskinny Bop of his youth. So that's why he just digs into it with such resolve. Anyway, let's talk about Tommy James and the actual gibberish here, since that's what we're here to talk about. This one wasn't gibberish sung well and right off the bat as a placeholder. He actually had the music all done and was searching for what could fit in and solve the puzzle lyrically. And in the case of Mony, the moment came from the view of his songwriting apartment, where him and Richie Cordell were chipping away at it in New York City and about to give up. He looked out across the skyline, saw the letters atop a building, MONY, standing for the name of the building itself, Mutual of New York. And the light bulb went off and it all fell into place. Now, what does Mony kinda mean? As a kid, I definitely thought this one was someone's name. And if you look at the lyrics, this one's definitely a lot more open to interpretation. Like, yeah, you could say, oh, it's a gal named Mony. Or you could say, it's kind of a fun, silly 60s sounding word hook serving more of a hey-ho, indeed truly meaningless purpose. Or you could say, you know, with the lyrics again here all being about feeling good and giving love and tossing and turning, that it phonetically runs very close to the word moan and gives a nod to all the moaning that humans in enamored states may very well be prone to do. Now, is that correct? Or any one of these correct? No, I don't really think so. But I think it's that loose ability for any one of these to maybe sort of kind of be correct that makes Mony work so well and was probably recognized and cooked into the sauce from the drop. And now it all makes total sense why tough, cool Billy Idol picked it and rocked it so well. Now, I wasn't allowed to like Hanson. I was a little too old by the time they came out in 1997. I was a little too cool. My sister had this CD. Okay, when MMMBop came on, I kinda liked it, or at least I refrained from saying something insulting and stopping it or leaving the room. I tolerated it. But the Meaningless MMMBop, the lead single of their debut album Middle of Nowhere, didn't just work and tear up MTV and radio across the land. It was and still is like their biggest song ever, and by a long shot. The gibberish on this one was forged from something completely otherworldly, an unshakable, unbreakable material probably not of this earth at all. How else could this song come from 3 young brothers from Oklahoma who weren't even old enough to drive when it was first demoed? Okay, Isaac could drive by the time this version came out, but Zach was still like 11. Now, the gibberish itself. And in the case of MMMBop, the chorus is all complete gibberish. Even after the MMMBop, it's a bunch of doopa-doo, dooba-dop, yeah, yeah, hey, hey. It was all apparently written intending to make some background vocal section or kind of background part. It wasn't exactly placeholder, but it was more likely going to have some lead vocal come in and sing some actual chorus. Then maybe these MMMBops and dooba-dops would pepper in and out around whatever that was. But the section worked so well and hooky that it became the actual chorus. And if we ask ourselves the question, what does it kinda mean? You'd think, well, in this case, it literally does just mean gibberish, right? I'd say wrong. The verses of MMMBop are all about how you only have a few real and true long-lasting relationships in life. And you gotta hold on to them. And so many of the seemingly flashy or immediate relationships or experiences in life actually don't hold any weight at all, or care about you, or have any staying power. MMMBop is a heavy song expressing a legitimately true sentiment. And so the chorus, the MMMBop doobadop, is really like this almost onomatopoeia of all the debris of life flying by, the transient relationships, the blips that were only there and passed you by, and the kind of mindset that will most positively get you through all of it. Roll with the punches. Don't expect too much where there isn't much to be expected. Appreciate the beautiful moments as they happen and know that they too are transient and nothing lasts forever. Let it all flow through you. Don't try and squeeze it and hold it. Know that what's for you will find you and stay with you. Relax. It's a big ocean. Life is full of waves. You are the ocean. You are not the wave. And bearing in mind all of this, now that I'm some adult or whatever, no longer an angsty teen myself, I think this song by kids not even old enough to drive is absolutely brilliant and beautiful. I just gotta tell the story. The first time I saw the music video for Bawitdaba by Kid Rock, I had taken a bunch of acid the night before. It started out as a good trip, but then it got too intense and I stayed up all night thinking I'd scrambled my brain and would be stuck this way forever. I made it till sunrise, I crept out of my bedroom and turned on the family TV to MTV, and this video came on, and it just confirmed all my worst nightmares. I couldn't even hear words anymore. Bawitdaba, da-dang diggy diggy. My brain was cooked. I eventually learned this was what was actually being sung, but in the moment it was terrifying. That was the first time I ever heard of Kid Rock. Now, Bawitdaba, which was the third single, by the way, from Kid Rock's 1998 album Devil Without a Cause, his major label debut, normally isn't mentioned in lists of songs with gibberish lyrics, even though it's quite possibly the most gibberish of all. And I think I know the reason, because no one cares about Kid Rock, heyo. I'm just kidding, kinda. Actually, if you can believe it, he was kind of cool for a while in the late 90s. If you were into nu metal and rap rock, cool even like the Beastie Boys and Beck, cooking up rock guitars with beats and songwriting, all that other stuff didn't happen yet. You know what I mean. And why Bawitdaba isn't often named as gibberish is it's tapping into something a little more historic, which is, simply put, scatting. You know, like scat singing, like Ella Fitzgerald, one of the greatest jazz singers of all time. Now, I'm not going to try to pretend to be like some actual music historian or anything. I am literally talking about a 90s Kid Rock video and a time I dropped acid. But in jazz, scatting among other things was a way for jazz vocalists to take a solo, just like the horn player or the piano player, weave through all sorts of great melody and rhythm, and it became its own art form. Of course, when hip-hop came around decades later, there was much use for such free-form rhythmic vocalization, and by the time rock and rollers were merging with the hip-hoppers in the 90s, it only made sense that scatting find its way in and be of some legitimate use. Kid Rock wasn't the only one. Come on, you know Jonathan Davis of Korn can drop some legitimate nonsense like Freak on a Leash, or even Max from Sepultura with Radamahatita, which we could very well feature here too, only it's somewhat tied to a Tupi word for big noise. But I digress. In a strange way, Kid Rock was the one who brought scat into the living rooms of middle Americans in a major way at the end of the 20th century. Hey, in more ways than one. See what I did there?
Uno, dos, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Anyway, I love me a whole bunch of nonsense nothing, and now we've done it. We've gone and talked our way through another whole video of it. But in this case, the nonsense nothing I'm usually saying is actually about nonsense nothing here. Perhaps my greatest achievement. Well, I surely know I didn't talk about every nonsense nothing song under the sun. Like, we can't forget Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs with Wooly Bully here. So if you have any other nonsense nothing you want to shout out in the comments, shout away. I'm always looking for more nonsense and can't get enough of nothing. In fact, I'm usually struggling with the opposite. All the something I gotta deal with, and trying to make sense of it. It's exhausting. So remember, if there's anything we learned here today, it's that saying stuff that makes sense, it's not always the best move. Sometimes the best way to say what you're trying to say is by saying nothing. And there's only one way to say nothing without saying nothing, and that's just a bunch of nonsense.